harder choice, the road less traveled, as Robert Frost would say, is the one of listening. Listening can look like empathy and compassion. It can also involve embracing the theological truth that gentleness is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's one of the most powerful actions that you and I can embody in this callous culture in which we live. Listening can also mean taking time to educate ourselves about these complex issues. Y'all, TikTok is not a substitute for medical advice from your doctor regarding vaccines. Just because something is on Facebook doesn't mean it's true. Don't be so quick to share that post until you've taken time to verify it by a reputable source. Sometimes listening means resisting the urge to jump into the fray and contribute before doing the work to discern whether our voice is needed in that moment, or if it's helpful, or if it's appropriate. And sometimes listening means taking a chance and reaching across the divide in ways both big and small. About this time last year, I began my research in full for my doctoral thesis, and we had a 4-week sermon series on what it means to be neighborly with one another, especially during a bitter election season. And my research focused on how collaborative congregational song can help in ways small and large to reduce the division that has inevitably infiltrated churches such as ours. And part of our work together involved a congregational exercise in writing hymn coups. Some of y'all may remember that. The hymn coup is just a simple short verse that's written in the same meter as a haiku, a form of Japanese poetry. And after inviting folks to write their own verses, we sang some of those verses right here in this room, and we printed the authors' names in the bulletin insert. So fast forward 3 or 4 months, and it was time for me to collect the data through anonymous surveys and individual interviews and a focus group. And one of my favorite anecdotes from the data that I collected was an anecdote from someone who was especially moved by our haiku exercise. You may remember that each person was invited to write a hymn coup. It was a general prayer for what we wanted for our congregation and for the world in that fractured season. And this person that I interviewed told me that as they were singing the verses, they looked at the authors' names and they noticed that one of them was someone that they knew for a fact voted very differently than they did. But what struck them was what that congregant wrote.